Tom Thumb. Once upon a time, there was a magician named Merlin. He could put himself in all kinds of disguise. One day, he went to a farmer's hut, dressed as a poor beggar, and asked for a place to have some rest. The woodcutter who lived in the hut greeted him with a smiling face. The woodcutter's wife served Merlin some milk and black bread. Merlin was very pleased with this meal, but he understood that the couple was unhappy. Merlin asked why they were so sad. "I would be the happiest woman in the world if I had a baby. I would be thankful if it were no bigger than my husband's thumb," said the poor woman in tears. When Merlin heard about this, he fulfilled her wish immediately. Woodcutter's wife gave birth after a while. The boy was perfect with everything. He was never any bigger than his father's thumb. That's why they called him Tom Thumb. As he grew older, his shape did not change. However, he was a very smart and very active boy. One day, as the woodcutter was ready to go to the woods to cut wood, he asked his father, "Can I bring the cart?" His father, "How? The horse can't even see you. You can be crushed under its feet." "I will sit inside the horse's ears and tell her how to get there," answered Tom Thumb. His mother made the horse ready, and the Tom Thumb sat in her ear. Then he shouted, "Giddy ap!" and the cart moved towards the house. At that time, two men saw this strange thing. One of the men said, "Oh my God, what is this? A cart is coming. Nobody is directing the horse. That can't be right. A cart cannot go without a driver," said the other man, and followed the cart. Finally, they came to the father of Tom Thumb's father. His father took Tom from the horse's ear. The men saw Tom Thumb and dreamed, "If we show this little man in the town, he can make us earn a fortune." The men turned to the woodcutter and said, "Sell this little man to us." "No, I will never sell him," he answered. He loved his son very much. When Tom Thumb heard the bargaining, he quietly approached his father's shoulder and whispered, "Sell me, Dad. Don't worry, I'll be back as soon as possible." So his father sold him to the men in exchange for a sum of money. "Where will you sit?" asked the men. "Put me on the edge of your hat," said Tom Thumb. So did the men. The men walked until getting dark. Later, he said to them, "Take me down and stop here." The men also took off their hats and put him on the ground. He jumped and crawled through the grass and went to the mouse hole, which he had previously seen. "Good evening, guys," he shouted at the men and hid in the hole. The men put their sticks into the hole, but the hole was empty. Tom Thumb crawled further. When it was night, the men had to go. When Tom saw that they were gone, he crawled out of the mouse hole and crashed into an empty snail shell. "I can spend the night here," he thought, and slept in the shell. When he woke up, he heard two men talking on the road. One of the men asked, "How can we capture the rich man's silver and gold?" "I can tell you," said Tom Thumb. "What is this?" asked one of the thieves with fear. "I heard someone talking," said the other one. They stopped to listen. "Take me with you. I'll help you," said Tom Thumb. The men looked at this little boy with astonishment and took him with the hope that he could help. "I will go into the rich man's room and give you what you want," he said. He crawled into the house and shouted, "Do you want everything, thieves?" "Shh! Be silent. Someone can wake up." Tom Thumb ignored them and continued to shout. A servant in the next room heard the sound and turned the lamp on. Thieves escaped in fear, but in the end, they came back and said, "Be serious and give us something." Tom Thumb said, "I'll give you whatever you want. Come closer." The servant listened to them very carefully and rushed out of his bed. Then he went to the door. The thieves fled in horror, as if there was a wild hunter behind them. When the servant came to the room, he looked around but couldn't see anything. Tom Thumb hid in the barn. The servant looked everywhere, but he found nothing and went back to his bed. He thought he'd dreamed. Tom Thumb climbed on hay in the dry grass. He intended to rest until the next day, and then he was going to go to his family. But there were other things waiting for him. When it was morning, the servant got up from his bed to feed the cows. He went to the barn. The servant put an armful of straw in front of the cow. Since he hadn't seen the little boy on the hay, the cow ate him. When he woke up in the cow's tripe, he was shocked. "Oh my God, how did I get to this disgusting place?" he asked. And there was an irresistibly disgusting smell. "In this little room, the windows are forgotten, and there is no daylight," he murmured. Tom Thumb wasn't very happy about the place. As more and more hay comes, the place is shrinking. "Save me! Get me out of here! Do not feed it anymore!" he shouted. While the servant was milking the cow, he heard a sound from the belly of the cow, but he never saw anyone. He thought it was the same voice. He was so scared that he spilled milk. He hurriedly ran to the landlord and said the cow was talking. "You're out of your mind," replied the man. But he went to the cow to understand what the problem was. Tom Thumb shouted again, "Get me out of here. Do not feed it more." The man was shocked and thought there was an evil soul in the cow and decided to cut the cow. The cow was cut, but its tripe was thrown away. Tom Thumb had a lot of trouble, but when he found a little space and looked out, he faced a new misfortune. A hungry wolf came and swallowed the whole tripe, but he had not lost his courage and said, "Dear wolf, I know a wonderful feast for you in a house. You need to crawl under the kitchen sink. You'll find cakes, salami, sausages, etc." He described his father's house. The wolf went to the house at night and ate what he wanted. After eating like a pig, the wolf put on too much weight. So, the wolf could not pass through there and got stuck. Tom Thumb started to make a loud noise in the wolf. Finally, his family awakened. They ran and saw a wolf inside. They locked him. His father grabbed his axe, and his mother grabbed her scythe. Tom Thumb heard his family voice and said, "Dad, I am in the wolf." His father, "Thank God, our son is here." He asked his wife to bring the scythe and hit the wolf's head. And then they took their son from the wolf's stomach. "You can't know how we were unhappy," said his father. "Thank to God, I can get fresh air again," said Tom Thumb. "Where have you been?" they asked. "I was in the hole of a mouse, in the tripe of a cow, in the stomach of a wolf. But I'm not stupid anymore." "We will never leave you alone again," his family said. They hugged and kissed Tom Thumb